I would like to talk about Smash, though.
Okay.
Because it is Smash Day.
Happy smashing, everyone.
I hope you're all doing smashingly.
I hope you're all smashing your brothers.
I hope you're smashing your brothers to smithereens.
And your pumpkins. And your watermelons, if you're that one
and
comedian. Yeah?
Last but not least.
Yep.
My Cabbages. There, that works.
Okay.
Happy Friday or Saturday or Sunday or
whenever this gets out.
Or whenever you're listening to it. And welcome to My Podcabbages, the wonderful, most best, those are some adjectives, the goodest podcast about Avatar: The Last Airbender on the internet. I'm Summer.
I'm Noah.
Today we're going to be talking about what... I might walk this back later, but I think it might be my favorite episode of the whole show.
It's my favorite episode so far.
Oh, far, for sure. Easily. But I might be so bold as to say, personally, favorite episode of the show.
Yeah.
Again, I might change my mind on that later. I have a very... small memory.
Okay.
I'm sure there are other very, very good ones. But God, every time I watch this episode, so good, so much to talk about. Can't wait to get into it. Let's do that now.
Yes. Can I just say last episode?
Yes.
I just want to bring up that thing where Aang has to choose through a bunch of objects to determine that he is the Avatar, so he can remember all these past objects that he's had in past lives.
This is something that...
This is one of the actual tests that is used to choose the Dalai Lama.
Did we not talk about that?
I don't know if we talked about that.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it is.
I tried looking it up last time, but I couldn't find any information, but I did find information this time.
This is something like this and a few other little things that I think about a lot. It seems like airbenders are best suited to be the Avatar.
Yeah.
For like a variety of reasons, including but not limited to like the glowing arrows.
Yeah.
Their monk-like peaceful attitudes.
The most spiritual of it.
So,
and it's a very spiritual position.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't the only way to choose a Dalai Lama, but it's just one of the sort of many tests that they use to determine. But I don't think they included every single sort of test in a 20-minute episode. This
is also not the only way that they find the Avatar. The other nations have their own ways of doing it too.
How did my coffee spill on the floor?
Oh my God. Can you keep your coffee in your cup for 2 seconds?
Cleaned up.
Boy, do I have some fun stuff for this episode. I cannot wait. So let's not. Oh my God. My fun facts list this week is very long. And it continues all the way through the document.
Okay, let's speed through them and have a fun fact time.
Fun fact time. This episode was originally called The Red Spirit.
Woo.
The mask was originally red, appropriately. During some airings of this episode, the title is mistakenly given as The Red Spirit.
Oh my God.
And still appears as so on program guides of several broadcasting networks such as DirecTV.
That's very confusing. There's too much red in this episode.
There is too much red.
And so the blue spirit definitely really gets it a lot. Like, the blue's an accent color. Mm-hmm. Like Aang's tattoos.
Or like the switch.
That mask.
Sorry, the switch is just red and blue. Ours is. Moving
Go
on.
ahead. Happy Smash Day.
Happy Smash Day. In the film prequel manga, an Avatar Extras commentary bubble states that the blue spirit mask is actually an Earth Kingdom theater mask, similar to the 2 frowning and smiling masks displayed in real-life acting theaters.
Adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a smiling one or the frowning one? Is there a different...
It's the straight-faced one in the middle.
Like the face.
The
Polite the cat face.
Yeah, the Polite the cat acting mask. Now, this is one of the more interesting facts to think about as you're watching the episode. As Nickelodeon only ordered 13 episodes of the original series, the creators designed this episode knowing that they needed something exciting along the lines of a series finale. As a result, so when you know that and you watch it, it makes a lot more sense for some of the other things I'll get into, but it's kind of interesting to know that this could have been the series finale of
the series finale.
Mm-hmm. So they designed it in order to make it either one, good enough to get them more episodes, or two, good enough to be the end of the whole show, which is why it's such a good episode.
Like the executive producers or whatever, like, could be watching this and the ratings could just be really bad, but they were just like, I just want to know what happens next.
Yeah, like 10 more episodes.
We're losing millions of dollars by the minute, but I gotta know. So
we start with a hawk flying over this little cove toward a big, beautiful Fire Nation fort. I had to look up what this place is called. It's the Pohwai Stronghold.
Okay.
The whole place is very elaborate and detailed. The design and artwork for this episode overall is just really good. And I think it goes back to how it was meant to be a finale episode.
Yeah.
I feel like this is the first episode where everything is just really, really well done, well drawn, well directed.
Yeah.
It's all really good. We see 5 little archers standing around at the interior base of the fortress walls. One of them does this the cool little arrow splitting stunt. Zhao is up on the wall with some other dude who just looks like Zhao if you stacked a car on him and just let it sit there for a while.
Yeah.
Like this dude is just the original guy, and then Zhao is just him re-entering Earth's gravity after spending a year in orbit.
Just wide Zhao.
If you took a picture of them each and just flipped back and forth really fast and added an accordion sound, well, I think that would be really funny. Anyway, Zhao is asking this guy, his name is Colonel Shainu, for the use of the archers. The guy's like, no way, they're mine, and they're guarding my fortress. Oh, Zhao says something really, really troubling. He says these Yuyan archers could pin a fly to a tree from 100 yards away without killing it. And I'm trying so hard to even imagine what that would mean, because I guess it's implying they'd pin it by the wings, but that would still definitely kill a fly whose main mode of transportation and therefore food, shelter, getting down and dirty with other flies is its wings. You are still definitely destroying this fly's life.
I mean, you could give the fly a little habitat, take care of it. You got a little pet fly.
Is there a way to pin a fly to a tree without actually puncturing it in any way?
I'm asking it to the mammologist.
The Yuyan archers are so talented that they can just shoot an arrow at a fly 100 yards away. The arrow will then screech to a mid-air halt, Bugs Bunny style, and crowd the fly up against the tree, put one of its hands up next to its head, like a little anime. Yeah.
Hey, I don't know any Japanese. Yo.
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to be like the cool, sexy anime boy. I'll just do a regular American boy. Hey. No, I can't.
Is that your sexy voice? Hey.
This podcast is an archive of me trying to act like a normal person.
So Zhao insists the search for the avatar would be a way better use of the archers. Shainu just keeps dismissing Zhao, ultimately just kind of vetoes this whole thing. And then Zhao's like, wait, I'm getting a call. Yeah, that was Ozai. He says I'm promoted. So, the messenger Hawk we saw earlier swoops in to promote Zhao to Admiral.
We definitely know that Zhao opened this message from the Hawk half an hour ago, and then he closed it up and then sent the Hawk out to go in a circle and then shit talk this dude knowing that he was going to be promoted just so he could flex on him.
I especially like that the squished Zhao, he was the one who was basically barking at Zhao and then immediately went from that to receiving this hawk on his arm.
Yeah.
Yeesh, that must have hurt. The camera zooms in to the shadows up on the roof of this little wall gazebo, and there's a mysterious figure lurking and eavesdropping on the roof, wearing a little a weird little blue Oni-style Oninymous mask. As we discussed, it's a theater, whatever.
Oninymous.
Ooh.
And you hear a little doo sting.
They are literally eavesdropping if you think about it.
What's an eave?
The overhang part of a roof.
I assumed that it was like the pipes of like water collection.
Are you talking about the gutter?
Yeah, the gutters of...
Wait, what is that called?
I think they're gutters. Yeah, for like roofs like the leaves go down in the gutters and the water. I assume that you like...
Man, I feel like I just...
tubes and you listen in through those?
I have Benjamin Button brain where I was born with all the knowledge in the universe, and the older I get, I just slowly don't know anything at all. Yeah. Meanwhile, in this little mountainside Machu Picchu looking abandoned village, the gang is taking shelter in a big crumbling temple. Sokka looks very sick. Sicka. I looked it up because I was curious. This place is called Taku. It's an abandoned city located on the shores of the United Republic of Nations, formerly the Northwestern Earth Kingdom.
This sounds extremely political.
So prior to the 100-Year War, the city was an important center of commerce. However, it was destroyed by the Fire Nation during the first wave of attacks due to its strategic location and importance to the Earth Kingdom. So this is what I was going to say. I have to assume they destroyed this place because it was a great location for commerce, and then they just built their own little place here. The fortress that they built, the Fire Nation one, in this weird place, I think is the new center for commerce.
Okay.
I think.
Sokka is in a big sock. He's like Sokka. He's in his little beanbag, and he's all really bundled up, and he's fucked up. And he's like, you know what I like best about Appa's sense of humor. And he's all shivery and wet.
He makes me feel sick just looking at him.
Yeah, I love our wet Sokka.
He got the flu or something from like being out in the storm in the last episode. Aang was apparently running around Taku looking for ginger root for some tea. He didn't find any, but he somehow found a map in like a dungeon chest, no doubt.
I found a map and 3 poison arrows.
The map marked a place up on a nearby mountain for an herbalist institute, just kind of like a little Avatar universe urgent care, I guess. Katara thinks Sokka will just get better with a little rest, and then she starts coughing, and they're all like, oh shit.
And the next scene is just the tombstone with Sokka and Katara.
Oh. Aang decides to go find this herbalist to get them some medicine. He's about to fly off on his glider, but then Deus Ex Machina, Deus Ex Cock Blockina, they drew in some lightning to make it so that Aang has to walk for this one.
Why cock block? Is he like gonna romance the herbalist? Or?
Deus Ex Walkina.
Oh.
Not to worry though, because Aang can run 1,000,000 miles an hour apparently. Another just like very OP thing that airbending lets you do. Little turbo boost. Over on Zuko's ship, crew guy is telling Zuko that they don't have any idea where the Avatar is, but I guess they're just gonna keep heading northeast for some reason. He almost explains why, but then we don't get to hear it. Iroh's playing some Pai Sho, and another really big ship shows up next to him, and Zuko's already really angry about it before he even knows who it is or what they want.
It could just be his dad being like, I just want you home now.
I was watching this, like, it made me laugh because this ship is enormous, and for some reason they didn't realize it was coming until it was right next to them.
It's like one of those movie tropes how somehow you could have like ginormous towering monsters kind of sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Like they turn a corner and it's like, oh, the monster's right there, even though it has canonically big honking footsteps.
Some pointy hat fellas board, and they tell Zuko that Admiral Zhao is collecting info on the Avatar. Iroh is very amused by Zhao's promotion. Throughout the scene, he is destroying his buddies at this Pai Sho game, like hustling them. Zuko says that they don't have any info, and he isn't lying because we just heard them mention that. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, he's just lying to get them out of there. But they just said, we have no idea where he is. We don't know where to go.
We would usually lie to you, but we honestly have no idea what we're doing.
Yeah.
And Iroh beats all of his buddies in Pai Sho, and he's like, "Oh, I'm certain you will win if you play again," while he looks at Zuko as if he's like trying to incept him or something.
Somewhere in a little bunker up in the mountains, we see 2 Fire Nation lookouts reading through the Aang poster.
Mm-hmm.
One of them reads off a little bullet point that says he can create tornadoes and run 1,000,000 miles an hour. And one of these guys is like blown away by this info. And the other guy's like, nah, Garfield voice, you're not immune to propaganda. Then we see something run past at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So fast that like the whole bunker and these guys' hats are just gone. I really want to make a wig flu joke, but I feel like I've reached my limit on that one.
Yeah. The rate at which we are making so many sort of current meme references is really going to date our podcast.
I can't wait. My kids are going to listen to this podcast and they're going to be like, it'll be like me listening to my mom's groovy.
Yeah. Zuko does the grooviest thing ever. God, Aang is so swell, isn't he?
Don't you mean swole?
He's this.
They are stunned for a second and then they blow their little alarm horn. I think this was actually the scene for some reason where I was finally like, this episode looks extremely well produced, like much better than all the other episodes so far. Mm-hmm. It really, like the acting is just so good and genuine. The scenes are really beautiful. Plot's really engaging. The humor's delivered really well. Like, it's taken so long for them to actually make really genuinely good landing jokes. Holds up even to this day.
It's a lot of good situational humor in this episode. Situational irony and dramatic irony.
Okay.
Instead of just saying jokes. Show jokes, don't tell. I took English classes in middle school.
Okay. I hope you did.
Back at the ruins, Sokka's dying. He's saying, Katara! Water! Katara's like, Momo, take my water bag and fill it with bagged water. And we see some Momo vision. And
oh, love this.
It's become established canon that when Momo hears English, all he hears is
unless he can't understand Katara specifically.
Maybe.
But I think we see it happen a few times. So
Momo tries anyways, and he flies away.
He can tell that she wants something. And Momo is just so helpful that he's just, even though he has no idea what she's saying, he's going to go try. Then we see Aang running up this huge-ass staircase to get to the herbalist's place. I read a fun little tidbit about this, actually. When Aang is running up the stairs to the herbalist, one of the commentary bubbles states that the movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is used as a reference for that scene.
Oh.
Now, I have not seen that movie.
I have not either.
But I would imagine Aang made it up the stairs a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Okay, but my other thing, Noah?
Yeah?
Imagine you're really sick or you're injured and you're like bleeding out and the urgent care center, for some sadistic reason, is at the top of this miles-long, steep-ass staircase.
I also want to mention that Aang running looks like Vince McMahon walk, but at like times 12 speed.
Oh my God. Aang makes it to the top, though, piece of cake. And then he runs into this greenhouse to find this doctor lady.
Yeah.
Couple of things. There's a cat.
An actual ass cat.
A normal, fluffy white cat. The other thing is there's a ladder in the middle of this very tall greenhouse that just leads up to a little hole in the roof.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just stood out to me for some reason. I wonder what kinds of fun activities this herbalist gets up to on the roof of her greenhouse.
Yeah.
Aang marches right up to her and she is like totally unfazed while she mixes something up in her little pestle or mortar? Which one's the mortar and which one's the pestle? Do you know?
Which one's the brick and which one's the mortar?
No, but Aang is talking as fast as he was running, trying to explain what's going on with his friends. And she's just like, chill the fuck out. She explains that she's been up at the Institute for over 40 years. She introduces her cat. Her name is Miyuki. And she says, wounded Earth Kingdom troops visit sometimes. Again, love to imagine them dragging themselves up those stairs. Aang just kind of stands around while she's mixing something up. And she wanders around for a while, trying to find an ingredient. And then back on Zuko's ship, Zuko's throwing a little temper tantrum.
He's literally just punching the air.
It made me think of, it reminded me of something. And I couldn't put my finger on it, but the only thing I could think of was like sort of like a Wes Anderson, Fantastic Mr. Fox, sort of the way like you get like one frame per movement where it's just like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And then he's like back to just standing like perfectly still. Iroh is worried about him because it's been almost an hour and Zuko's...
It's been almost an hour.
They've just been sitting out in the water doing nothing.
Yeah.
And Zuko still hasn't given any orders.
You've just been punching the air for a whole hour.
I would have loved to have just like a split screen kind of like fly on the wall cam of what was just going on inside of Zuko's ship this whole time. Just to see what all of his little buddies are doing. Mm-hmm. Also, I couldn't help but wonder. Zuko is clearly like, we know by now that Zuko is different from the other Fire Nation. He's not like other Fire Nation soldiers or Fire Nation people.
I'm a little different.
Yeah. I have to wonder if the way that he acts and the way that he treats his crew members and everything, like if his Fire Nation soldiers are also like a little bit different now. Like maybe they're a little more laid back and
they're like a little floating island of misfit Fire Nation soldiers.
Yeah, because like I feel like at the beginning of the show they all like seem very, very like stiff and like regular soldiers, but they just kind of over time, I never really have thought about it before, but they all sort of chill out a little bit. They get more comfortable like questioning authority, and
I don't think it's ever addressed like why Zuko is banished, but he still has like his own ship and this whole crew that's willing to go with him.
Well, I think since his dad sent him off like, if you can find the Avatar, you can do whatever, you can come back or whatever. I'm sure he must have been like, well, you gotta send me with a ship and some people to find him at least.
That feels awfully generous of him.
I guess like it is possible maybe he did like go around and find sort of like...
Or it could have just been Iroh's doing. Maybe it was like Iroh's sort of old crew and he just wants to help out his boy. Of course.
I mean, they have not cared for Zuko very much. Like Zuko's at a weird sort of dead end at this point because he knows Zhao is sort of taking over something that he's been working on for a long time. And he knows that Zhao has a lot more resources, and it's just kind of like, what the fuck is he supposed to do to like compete with this? You know what I mean? He has no idea where to even begin. Meanwhile, the herbalist seems to have found the last ingredient for the thing, plum blossom. Aang tries to snatch this mixture out of her hands. The herbalist smacks him with a little spoon, like, hands off, twerp. This is Miyuki's dinner. She sets the bowl down and Miyuki gets balls deep in this plum blossom dish. I don't know if you noticed that, but like Miyuki... full, like, I don't know how she was breathing with her face in the bowl like that.
I was thinking like diving into the bowl like Mary Poppins' bag.
Aang gets upset though because he thought that she was making some medicine for his friends. And she's like, relax, my dude. Just go pick up some frozen wood frogs from the swamp.
She says, suck on my frozen wood frogs.
They're not hers.
Suck on those frozen wood frogs.
Make sure that they don't thaw out. Piece of the pie. Aang runs out of the institute and is met immediately with arrows that pin him to the ground via his little booties.
They don't go through his skin, though.
Yeah, no.
It's not that much.
I am so glad this show, like, normally you can see... Normally a show will introduce shooters like this, like they can pin a fly from 1,000 miles away, and then immediately when they're sent off to shoot someone, they miss every fucking shot inexplicably. Yeah. But in this case, it looks like because they're not meant to kill Aang, so they do they land pretty much every shot.
Yeah, these archer people, this D&D group of Oops All Archers is probably the most sort of powerful force that we've seen in this show so far.
What about
or at least
Aang?
Demonstrated. Not Aang. They seem to get him pretty quickly.
That is true.
Aang doesn't seem to be quite a match for these archers, as we're starting to see.
Yeah, well, they do. They shoot a bunch more arrows at Aang, presumably to pin him all the way down, but this time they do miss because Aang does some quick airbending. So he's Well, this is like another one of those situations where, yes, they're professionals and they're perfect, but they've never trained against an airbender. So, like, he still has an edge on them a little bit.
Aang's very good at just pushing things away.
Yeah. But innocent little Aang just picks up an arrow and he's like, I think you dropped this.
And one of the archers is like, oops, I dropped my monster arrows that I use for my magnum bow.
Okay. But it's like, it's not sarcastic or anything. Like in this moment, apparently he genuinely believes he was accidentally shot at with like 20 arrows. They all notch their bows again, and Aang finally realizes they are shooting at him on purpose. Mm-hmm. So Aang pulls himself free. He tries to run away. We get that good chonk, 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 chonk. That good drum music indicating a tense kerfuffle.
The adrenaline music.
Aang starts toward the stairs, but that's not going to work. So he runs back the way he came and just jumps off the cliff. I have a little fun fact.
Okay.
The movie Rambo was used as a reference for this scene.
Oh my God. Hey, Summer.
Yes?
I have a question.
Go.
If the Avatar jumped off a cliff, would you jump off too?
No.
Okay, but these archers do.
Yeah, the archers jump off after him because they have little Spider-Man arrows.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I feel like we talk about Spider-Man in every episode, like more than one time per episode. How does this keep happening?
I mean, Spider-Man 1 and 2.
Spider-Man.
I mean, that's how you used to talk about like the plural Spider-Man movie. The new Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies have just sort of released, so maybe that was just really in the cultural consciousness.
Yeah, true. They all fly through the trees along the cliff.
There's Spider-Man swanging through those trees.
Arrows flying. Aang lands in the swamp at the bottom and manages to scoop up several wood frogs. The first one he picks up, though, he picks it up and he's like, a frog! And it is instantly shot out of his hand by an arrow. And I was just like, Aaron Paul voice. No. Oh my God. Same hat. Not sure if Aang remembers that he actually needs these frogs or not, or if he's just excited to find a frog. Oh my God, a frog. The archers are able to pin him to a big log while he's digging around for these frogs. Aang does some water bending to create a little shield, but the archers do their arrow splitting trick and shatter the shield, and then they catch him in a big net very quickly.
Yeah, it's his one weakness. You can't push that away with air.
Yeah, we've seen him be bested by nets a lot.
Just imagining like Zuko finally figuring this out and like chasing Aang with like a cartoon dog catcher giant net.
We cut to a weird dungeony area where Aang is being held captive in chains. Okay. I have some wild info for this part.
Okay.
Oh my God. The production team intended to have Aang suspended in the air, shackled on all four limbs, but standards and practices did not allow it.
Standards and practices?
Yeah, so I was like, that sounds pretty official. I looked it up. In the United States, standards and practices, also referred to as broadcast standards and practices, is the name traditionally given to the department at a television network which is responsible for the moral, ethical, and legal implications of the program that network airs.
Oh my God.
They were legally, morally, and ethically not allowed to do this to Aang.
Oh my God. Thank you for protecting Aang. Government.
This is just wild. I love that this fun little kids show was like vetoed by standards and practices.
Summer.
Yes.
What do you see?
Babies.
They're
so cute.
Babies.
Love that little hat.
I have a little tidbit for my brain.
Okay, go for it.
I feel like that they got past these standards and practices. There is a scene in Legend of Korra where
it mentions this.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't want to spoil anything.
Well, I'm not going to say what the character is, but
this is achieved in Korra. Okay, but like some wild shit happens in Korra. Some absolutely buck wild shit happens in Korra. We zoom out to see that Aang is being held captive in a room that's right in the middle of the Pohai stronghold. I really hope I'm saying that correctly. Pohai. Zhao walks in with his little evil villain monologue. He's like, "You're a slippery little bastard, but I've got you now." And Aang's like, "No way, man. I haven't been avoiding you. I will literally kill you right here if you want."
Aang says, "Untie me and I'll fight you right now." But he says it so fast that it sounds like that he's saying, "I'm tiny and I'll fight you right now."
I mean, both are true. So.
Yeah, he is tiny because he's 12 and Zhao is an adult man.
I just really like Aang's personality. He's not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Love that. Zhao taunts him a little bit and then explains that they're not going to kill him because that would just mean they'd have to run around looking for the next avatar. Then he implies they're just going to fucking torture him for the rest of his life, which not sure how that one made it past standards and practices. Aang sweeps Zhao off his feet. Zhao is totally unconcerned,
just by blowing at him?
Yeah, a little. But Zhao is not concerned because Aang can't escape and no one is coming to rescue him.
Back at the ruins, Sokka's still dehydrated. Momo finally comes back, not with some water, but some sick beets.
Beets?
Because he brought back a dead mouse.
Oh.
Katara
4 out of 10.
Katara looks at this literal dead animal that Momo has dropped on her chest.
Well, Momo just thought she was hungry.
Yeah.
Which is sweet.
Very sweet. Can't hunt for herself.
And then we cut right back to Aang. And then out to the whole fortress. And then another quick cut to a little blue mask peeking out of a bush outside the fort. Another cut, but this time it's closer to the blue mask. Another cut even closer.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny to watch, but visual humor is hard to narrate.
Yeah. It zooms on it like doing the Avatar version of the Inception bong.
I don't think it's meant to be funny, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's so fun that it's funny.
Then we see a little caravan heading up to the fortress, and fucking the blue spirit pops out of the ground to grab onto it from below. This little blue spirit person seems to have dug themselves completely into the dirt somehow in order to do this.
They seemed very confident that the carriage wouldn't be like, I don't know, like a half foot over to the left where it would have just squished them with the wheels or something, that they would be right underneath the caravan.
But they make it safely into the fortress and run up into the safety of a little dark staircase. Meanwhile, out in the courtyard area, Zhao is up in his tower balcony thing, giving a speech to the soldiers below in the middle of the fucking night for some reason.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, like, he just caught the Avatar and he just can't wait.
He cannot wait.
Emergency speech.
This speech is, whoo boy, it is problematic. If you were on the fence about how evil the Fire Nation was before now, this is clearly some, like, Zhao literally calls fire the superior element and goes on to say that the Avatar was the only thing in the way of complete fascist worldwide domination.
The call and response to like the crowd is very confusing to me, like what the crowd is saying. We have the Avatar and now he's my prisoner. And the crowd is just giving this ambiguous like,
no, that's what armies do.
Okay, you're from the army, right?
No. God, no. But they're going to use the comet and they're going to burn Ba Sing Se to the ground, etc., etc. While everyone is distracted out here, the blue spirit is running along the fortress walls into the grates, the drains, the pipes.
Sneaking through those sewers.
They seem to be very familiar with the blueprint of this fortress.
Yeah.
But they are the blue spirits, so of course they know all about blueprints. Aang is still all chained up, looking pretty out of breath, as if he's been trying to get out of his chains this whole time. Probably was, especially after his dig around in the frozen swamp. He is very much that Japanese swamp farmer who's like, never give up.
What are you doing there? I'm here out in this swamp collecting frozen wood frogs for my friends to suck on in negative 10 degrees Celsius.
Okay. But the frogs are all thawing out now and they're wiggling out of his clothes. Oh my God. By the way, I love how Aang put these frogs just anywhere and everywhere in his clothes. They're all wiggling out and sliding across the floor, but they're all still like half frozen. So we just see some little frog limbs pushing along the floor. Mm-hmm. It's really silly looking.
There are 4 frogs, and each...
4 froggers.
4 froggers. There are 4 frogs, and each frog is frozen halfway in a different direction. And it's all very symmetrical. Like one's left side, right side, top side, and bottom side frogs.
Konami code. We see a few guards standing outside the chamber, and we hear a ribbit. And for like a single frame or two, we see one of the guards look angrily at the other guards, as if they fully believed one of the other guards made this noise, like it's happened before. Like, God damn it, Josh!
Oh my God!
But then these frogs start scooting out from under the door, and the guards look concerned for a second. And then there's a loud clanging. They all go back to their straight guard faces. A pointy helmet flies down the corridor toward them. One of the guards walks down the corridor to investigate. And then as soon as he turns the corner, he screams, there's some fire, a chain rattling. Mm-hmm. Sounds very ghostly.
Yeah.
2 more of the 3 remaining guards sneak down really carefully. And then they find their friend chained up to the ceiling. And behind them, hidden in the ceiling shadows, we see the blue spirit.
Above them.
Yeah, well, behind and above. I did say the ceiling, which we have to imply is above them.
They're not just walking around on the walls.
Yeah, we did mention Inception, but...
Yeah, no Jason Gordon, Jason
Corbin Leblitz.
Jason Corbin Blue. Spirit.
Ooh. The blue spirit jumps down and ties both of them up too. And then Blue Spirit runs down to the door where there's just one guard left who pulls out a horn, but Jeffrey J throws a little knife, knocks the horn out of his hands before he can blow it.
Who's Jeffrey J?
I'll admit to doing a little research to make this joke that no one will understand. Okay, but Noah?
But if you were listening to it, you wouldn't have understood unless you did the research.
Of course not. Okay, but I should. Everyone should know who this is. Do you have it, Noah?
Yeah.
Think of a song that's about the color blue.
I'm Blue by Eiffel 65.
You know who this is by? God damn it, I didn't even know who the artist was. Anyway, Jeffrey J is the lead singer of Eiffel 65.
Okay. I mean, you could have just said Eiffel 65.
This is how you do humor, folks. The guard throws a big fiery punch, and Blue Spirit throws a bucket of water, puts out the fire, swings the bucket around again, knocking the guard off his feet. It looks sick until you watch it the second time, and you're like, where the fuck did this bucket of water come from?
It's very good. I will say, the thing that I've heard about, like, what good filmmaking is like hiding all the plot holes without people thinking about it.
Yeah. We rewatched this scene several times, and it is completely impossible for the Blue Spirit to have procured this water bucket in the small space of time that they had to do so.
Mm-hmm. But if you're watching this like any normal person that's supposed to be watching this,
you don't question it.
It's like, oh, they just had a
course
bucket in their inventory.
And it looks very cool. We'll forgive it. Blue Spirit opens the door to the chamber and pulls out their Deadpool swords.
Spinning around everywhere.
Yeah, it starts swinging them around, and Aang's like, oh shit, here's Torture Boy. But the Blue Spirit just hits the chains and breaks Aang free, and those swords must be sharp.
They are iron chains and
Valyrian steel.
They're just sliced ones.
Aang asks the Blue Spirit who they are. He's just kind of yelling at him these weird blunt questions in his loud deadpan voice.
Who are you? What's going on?
Are you here to rescue me?
Why are you wearing that mask? Are you gonna kill me?
The Blue Spirit.
How did you get in here?
Blue Spirit.
Do you want a frog? Are you my mom?
Shut the fuck up, Noah. The Blue Spirit pauses for a second, walking back out the door, and just dabs.
Yeah.
Apparently, it was just an indication to follow them out. On their way out, Aang sees his half-frozen frogs in an adjacent room and really wants to grab them before they go, but Blue Spirit grabs him and leads him away.
And Aang's like, no, my friends need to suck on those frogs.
Oh, when I first heard this, I thought he was going to be like, no, my friends.
Props to the Blue Spirit for still keeping their mouth shut and not kink-shaming Aang's friends. We see Momo flying back to Sokka and Katara, and they are loaded with all kinds of shit. You see pots and pans and mugs and fans, a stool, a knife, a bowl, some cups, some scrolls, a teapot, a plate, a big brush.
For a second, I thought you were like starting to rhyme those.
Oh.
And I was like,
I wasn't
put a beat on that.
I wasn't doing like a freestyle rap or like beat poetry or something. Big brush. Katara has this old-timey crown on her head.
I love it.
They've got all sorts of hidden treasures from this little ruined village.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, like, apparently this village, it's abandoned, but it's still just full of loot.
Yeah.
Like,
we have to assume that this is like an extreme surprise attack that the Fire Nation did, and everyone had to evacuate as soon as possible. Leave all their things behind.
Fortnite. Question mark?
Why are you making all the Fortnite references now? Katara's like, oh my God, we just need water. Where are you, Aang?
And she's like spelling out, she's like, water.
Water.
As if she just speaks really slowly, Momo can understand what she's saying.
Sokka's like, who the fuck is Aang, Your Highness? And now we're back in the sewers with the Blue Spirit, who is a person. We don't want to imply that the Blue Spirit is like an actual ghost.
Yeah, well, we've mentioned the mask and everything. It's just a person. But it's the easiest way to refer to them is Blue Spirit.
For the people who are listening who have not watched the show and don't have a intensely visual imagination like I do, the Blue Spirit is a human.
As far as we know.
They look like
Could be a spirit.
The sort of dancing pumpkin mask dude.
That's true.
That's what it really reminded me of, because
they are wearing like a black body morph. Sort of.
It's like a black body morph suit with a single mask. So
that's a good point. And then the Deadpool swords. It's a very interesting look.
God, I really want to see this whole episode, but with like a pumpkin mask instead.
Pumpkin spirit.
It's the Great Pumpkin.
Oh man, or just like an animated version of that video, but it's just the Blue Spirit instead of that has to exist somewhere. Aang follows the Blue Spirit out through the sewers while Zhao is bragging to some transcriptor about his achievements somewhere else. He wants Ozai to know about how good he is at catching avatars.
And Zhao also implies that he wants the scribe to like forge really nice testimonials for like all the office.
Yeah.
He's
I missed that the first time.
He says, I want glowing testimonials from all the ranking officers.
He may have just been implying like go to them and ask.
Like, just this is an order, have them write nice things about me.
They come across the chain of guards, and then Zhao bursts into the dungeon room, see that it's empty, except for a little frog. I can only help but wonder, because like all of the people who are not Aang and the herbalist have no idea what's going on with these frogs. So like, if they were thinking like, was this part of the escape? Like, what is the relevance of these frogs?
And the Avatar hasn't really existed in 100 years.
Like,
so
if I were Zhao and I walked into a room, the Avatar is gone and there's a frog, I would immediately assume Aang turned into a frog.
Me too, because we don't know. We don't know if the Avatar can't turn into a frog.
Yeah, we don't know.
I just want to say, I do think that frogs are very funny. They're just a good comedic animal.
That's true, yeah.
They truly are just arms and legs with a mouth.
I think that's why I like our gecko, because she's just like a frog version of a gecko. Shout out to Lizard of the Show, Echo. The alarm bells are ringing as Aang and the Blue Spirit climb up a rope on one of the walls. The guards see them immediately. It's almost like they weren't actually doing their job until the alarm started ringing.
Zhao's like, Avatar's out there, close the everything.
Yeah, the rope gets cut down, but Aang saves them with a little airbending. The kerfuffle song starts again.
And you get those adrenaline drums, and it's going.
Yeah. And this is where the show gets extremely good to watch and extremely difficult to talk about, but we're going to do our goddamnedest. Aang tells Blue Spirit to stay close to him, blasts a bunch of soldiers out of the way. A bunch more soldiers approach Blue Spirit with spears. Blue Spirit pulls out their swords and whittles little animals out of the shafts.
Then some dubstep starts playing. The soldiers are throwing red and blue blocks at Aang, with a bunch of arrows on them. But right before they hit Aang, Blue Spirit runs in front of the blocks and to protect him and slices all the blocks in rhythm and doing some sick dance moves.
We see the gates close before they can make it through, and one soldier almost gets Aang with a spear, but Aang grabs the spear, twists it around himself into a feather boa, blowing the soldier away. Aang still doesn't have his glider, so he does snap off the end of the spear and starts using it as a staff. Meanwhile, Zuko is still whittling away at these other soldiers' spears. He's making a whole zoo of animals out of them. Aang wipes them all away with a big air-based wet wipe and then launches Blue Spirit into the air. Blue Spirit tucks and rolls onto the wall, gets up very gracefully to face more soldiers who are approaching from both sides. Rufflecopter Aang appears and picks up Blue Spirit with his leggies. Aang is using his broken spear as a propeller, and he's flying them across this ditch.
This sounds like a bit, but this actually happens.
Yeah, this actually fucking happens. And he's really struggling, as he should. Like, this is pretty incredible because it's not meant to be used as a propeller. He's not really doing any airbending with this other than just making the stick go fast enough to actually...
Like, he could just be, like, trying to control air currents to push him up like a little boost, but...
The soldiers start throwing spears from below, and the Blue Spirit's chopping them as they come. On the top of the next wall, more soldiers approach, and it's looking pretty desperate, especially as one of the soldiers kicks his stick off the wall. But then Aang does the first piece of actual genuine, a very gorgeous bit of Bagua. He does this one motion that looks very smooth, but it's very, very hard. And despite practicing for like a year now, I still can't do it properly. Where you basically, like, you lunge and dip your whole body down, bring your arms up in a line with your body like a little wave, and then you turn, and then Aang here goes straight into a perfect circle walk, and I did shed a single tear.
Aang's moving around like a little blob of mercury.
God, he's so good at this. Well, not only that, but I also just want to like shout out to the animators who were able to like make this all look really genuinely like authentic with just a few frames. It's so impressive. I am doing this show, just a little kimono parting. I'm doing this show for the first time with just a lot of caffeine. So that is why I'm talking so fast
This
today.
is like the very first time we've recorded in the morning instead
with coffee.
Instead of at night where we're all just droopy.
Yeah. And I guess that's probably a good thing, though, because I have so much to say about this episode. It's so good. And like normally I would skip over a lot of stuff in the episodes because it's all just kind of, there's a lot of filler and a lot of just kind of random, like unnecessary stuff going on. But this one is just chock full of like good little bits. Aang uses this little Bagua technique mainly for evasion. And then Blue Spirit jumps onto the soldier, throws him over the edge of the wall.
Yeah. He definitely dies.
Very violent. They're fighting everyone off up here, and then a bunch more soldiers run up from below with these huge bendy siege ladders, and they just fucking run up the wall with these bad boys. They could have just like done the normal siege ladder thing. They don't do the normal
siege ladder thing, but they're bamboo ladders.
They're so bendy and so strong.
So they have like a person in the front, and he's just holding the ladder, and he starts wall running up holding the ladder still.
It's wild.
I mean, I guess that's slightly faster than putting it up there and just starting to climb.
I guess.
You know?
Aang and Blue Spirit are fighting these guys back, and Aang is able to just blow everyone off of one of these ladders, dandelion style. And then the soldiers on the next ladder over are shook, and they get blasted off too. Aang somehow manages to grab a couple of these ladders and just pulls them up, and he and Blue Spirit do an epic stilt trick. I don't even know how to explain this. They just sort of...
It's like pole vaulting, but the poles are like 30 feet high, and they're on top of the poles.
There's already one on the ground, so they grab that one. They sort of swing over forward towards the next wall. They put down the next ladder, and then they use that one to swing forward.
Because they're carrying like a bushel of ladders while they're doing this.
And then it takes so long for one of these soldiers to be like, oh, Oh, we can just... He just runs up and gently lights the ladder on fire.
As if he's like holding a lighter up to it.
Just like, he runs up to it really fast and then he's just like, boop. They fall right before they get over the last wall and the remaining soldiers sort of blast them big time, and Aang tries to block it with an air buble.
Blue, the beloved velociraptor from the hit 2015 and 2018 movies Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, is here and starts disemboweling all the soldiers.
Excuse me?
Blue from Blue's Clues skidoos into the TV show Paw Prints all the soldiers to mark them for death. Blue Spirit gets all of them. The camera pans over, and this whole time, this drum music has been played by the Blue Man Group. And then they start doing a cover of I'm Blue by Eiffel 65, splashing lots of neon paint over all the soldiers and blinding them. And they're slipping all over this paint.
And then Zhao runs up and is like, whoa, we can't kill this little kid, you idiots.
Yeah, they're really doing like
this whole
death stabs
scene,
and burns to these, trying to actually kill Aang.
So he's like, don't kill him. We have to torture him for the rest of his life. And as soon, like immediately, as soon as the Blue Spirit hears this, they put their swords to Aang's throat. And then there's a little standstill. Zhao, clearly very irritated, demands that they open the gate and let them out to the sound of some very tense music. Like this isn't just a concession. It's sort of like, open the gate. And it's like, well, that's not quite right. But yeah, the musical cues in this episode are chef kiss, voice, chef kiss.
Suspenseful.
Yeah, suspenseful. Blue Spirit keeps their swords to Aang's throat as they're walking backward away from the fort. And they get pretty far, nearly to the forest. And then Zhao orders his archers to knock out the Blue Spirit so they can be delivered to Ozai along with the Avatar. The archers successfully do this. They knock them out.
Shoots Blue Spirit right in the mask.
Yeah. First, I was like, well, if they're good enough, they could have like shot him through like the little eye hole, right? But Zhao specifically said just knock them out so we can deliver them like presumably alive along with the Avatar.
Because
to torture them too.
Zhao wants to be like an overachiever and is like, I didn't kill them. I'll let you kill them, Fire Lord.
Aang is super freaked out by this and then turns to face them as they're like falling. There's like if I remember correctly, it's like kind of like a little slow motion scene.
Yeah.
And then Aang is even more shook when he sees what looks like.
This is really dramatic because like the Blue Spirit has been like completely flawless.
That's true.
This entire episode, and then they're just struck down with a single arrow.
Well, the Yuyan archers are just like that.
Yeah. And I really like that about this episode is that we have like this whole buildup of between like two really, really good fighters and they face off against each other and it's over in an instant.
So Aang is looking down at his little accomplice and sees what looks like a big red scar under the blue mask. So Aang blows up a big dust wall to protect them. And Zhao's like, go out, recover them. And Aang pulls off the mask and yep, it's Zuko.
What?
It's Zuko.
What?
Oh my God. You guessed it. It's Zuko, the one and only.
Who's that Blue Spirit?
It's Zuko. Aang is extremely upset and confused, and he nearly just runs off. But he sees Zuko lying there helpless on the ground as these soldiers are running up towards them. And as the dust settles, the soldiers arrive on the scene, and Zuko and Aang are gone. Blah!
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is good.
Yeah.
Zhao, up in his little tower, is so angry that he makes a frog noise. You're supposed to laugh there.
Jeb Bush voice, please laugh.
Yeah, I don't know how this frog got all the way up there, but I do love it. Like it had to have made the same journey that Aang and Zuko did.
Yeah.
God, I'm so relieved I can finally say Zuko. Then the frog jumps all the way off the wall, which cannot be good, I don't think.
I remember at high school one time, I was like just walking back to the car and I just saw a frog land right in front of me that jumped from the roof.
Oh my God.
But they were fine.
These frogs are resilient little buddies.
They're just made completely of rubber.
Of course they are.
What happens to a frog when it's struck by lightning? Nothing, because they're made of rubber.
And I'm glue.
What? Glue?
You're rubber, I'm glue.
And together, we're gonna get you.
You haven't heard the "you're rubber, I'm glue," or "I'm rubber, you're glue." Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you.
That sounds like some weird folksy saying.
It was an elementary school curse. It was like when someone would say something mean, you would say, "I'm rubber, you're glue." Whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you.
I was more of a sticks and stones kind of kid.
You were hitting people with sticks and stones?
I was hitting myself with sticks and stones to prove that they can break my bones.
What?
And I was like, now try to hurt me with words. I dare you.
Star wipe to Aang sitting on a big root in the forest where he looks very sad and confused. Zuko is lying beside him, coming out of his unconscious state. And Aang goes into this small monologue about a friend he had 100 years ago.
Zuko is lying on a pile of leaves, which I assume is what Aang thinks is like an ideal bed for anyone. Premium comfort.
That's true. That is how he sleeps. But what else is he going to do in the middle of the forest? So Aang is talking about one of his best friends from 100 years ago whose name was Kuzan, which contains many of the same letters that Zuko's name does, who he did everything with and who was apparently from the Fire Nation.
Could be a reincarnation?
Probably not, but, well, maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Aang wonders if he and Zuko could have been friends if there wasn't a war going on. There's a few frames where Zuko is just kind of lying in this pile of leaves, looking pretty pathetic. And then he jumps up and tries to roast Aang alive.
Yeah.
And Aang just kind of flies off through the trees. Then we see Aang collecting some more frogs. And then, oh my God. Cut to Iroh on Zuko's ship.
Yeah.
Playing his little horn on the deck.
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting on this chair with there's a little table beside him, and on it is that fucking monkey statue from the pirate episode.
Yeah.
So he bought it, I guess.
Yeah.
And Zuko walks onto the ship, and Iroh is like, "Oh, hey, Mark. Where have you been? We've just been singing songs and shit. Yeah. It's been great."
He said, "You missed music night." So I'm assuming Iroh did actually start a band.
Yeah. And this sort of goes back to what I was saying. I can't imagine, Zhao's soldiers on the ship with a week off just kind of singing songs.
Yeah. You know Lion King 1.5?
It's the Timon and Pumbaa one, right?
It's like the Lion King, but from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective. I would really like to see an episode 13.5 where you see Iroh's perspective and they're just having a little fun music night.
Sounds so nice. Yeah, there's so many fun little things going on in this episode, even though some of them we don't see them.
He said oh, you missed a very stirring love song by one of our crewmates.
Would love to see that. Would have loved to see this open mic night. Zuko's it's 10 a.m. and Zuko's I'm going to bed.
I'm going to sleep.
That's a joke no one will get.
Unless you've watched every Vine.
I was going to say, unless you've seen all the Vine compilations on YouTube.
Or have ever owned a Bop It. Sokka and Katara are asleep, as well as Momo, because he's finally given up now.
Poor little buddy.
Just piled in their ancient possessions.
He tried so hard.
He tried extremely hard. At least they have so much good stuff now.
Does Momo drink water? Why did he get everything but water?
Maybe.
I've never seen him drinking water.
He could have actually found water and then drank some, but didn't get any.
Oh, yum. I wonder what they're actually looking for.
Yeah. Aang finally shows up with his frozen frogs and he's like, just suck on these. It'll make you feel better. And Sokka's wondering how Aang's trip went, if he made any new friends or anything. A little side adventure. And Aang's like, no, I don't think so.
So sad.
Not even the frogs or the cat that he met or the old lady.
Can you really claim someone is your friend if you make your real friends suck on them?
It's true.
Yeah. Hey, do you think Aang would have done it as a vegetarian?
That's true. It's not. They're trying to get the...
It seems like the frogs were okay.
They seem sort of fine with it. These frogs are okay with freezing themselves alive. Hey, did you know that flamingos do that?
Yes. And then they just kind of thaw out. At night, they freeze into the lakes or whatever. And then in the morning, they thaw out. Just
not their entire bodies, just their legs. But
they don't
still...
mind. There's a very small shot here of Zuko looking at a Fire Nation logo. That's it.
It has not the flag, just the logo.
Yeah, just the logo.
It has a little R with a circle around it on it.
Like the Tinder logo.
The Tinder logo is like...
He's wondering, should I get a girlfriend?
It's not that far from the Fire Nation logo.
Maybe if I found a girlfriend, this would all be behind me.
Yeah. If I could only get myself a good goth girlfriend. Sokka and
Chekhov's
Katara...
goth girlfriend. Sorry, go ahead.
Sokka and Katara be sucking frogs. And Sokka mentions that they actually taste pretty good. I'm imagining that they taste like some good like green apple kind of flavor. And then they come to, they're now lucid and sober and they spit out the frogs immediately.
Sokka's like licking Appa's fur, which surely
like to get the taste out.
Cannot possibly be a better flavor or like more sanitary.
And that's the end.
That's the whole episode, yeah. 20 questions?
Yeah.
Is it alive?
Nope.
Is it unique to this one episode?
I think so, yes.
Is it something that if I saw it, I would be like, oh, that's that thing that someone had? Or like, would I recognize it as a specific thing? I know that's a weird question, but do you know what I mean?
No, I think you would only really recognize it within the context.
Would you say there's like more than one of them in the world?
No.
Is it a thing that is, what am I trying to say?
It is not a generalized thing. It is a specific one item.
One item. But are there more like it?
Yes.
Okay. Could I stand in it?
Yeah.
Comfortably?
No.
I'm wondering if we picked the same thing.
Me too.
Oh my God. That would be very funny.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to no scope it.
Yeah.
Wait.
There we go.
This is going to end really badly if it's not, because then I'll have to pick something else.
Ooh.
Is it the bucket of water?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Oh.
We picked the same thing.
I got you a bucket of water for Christmas.
This is awkward. One of us is going to have to go home and change our 20 questions.
Because we have to fly ourselves out to a recording studio every time we do this.
But what are the fucking odds that there's so many good things to pick from for this episode? I thought it was a good one because it's like there's something in it. Like, oh my God, that is so funny though. I can't believe that happened. Yeah. Now I have to very quickly come up with something. Well, that must have been a record. Was that like 3 questions?
I think you got it in less than 20 questions.
This is what people must feel when their minds are blown. I don't know. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Wig blown. Mind flew.
Wig blown. No.
Galaxy wig.
Got nothing to say. Okay. After a little deliberation, I have my new thing. My thing, very simple, should be just a quick one. It's the wanted poster of Aang.
Is it alive?
No, it's not.
Okay. Can I kiss it?
You could. It would be weird.
Thanks for that.
Little addition to the answer.
Is this a friend?
No.
Are they shaped like a friend?
Part of it is.
Is it a tool?
No.
Can you make a little sweater for it? Can you knit a little sweater to put on it?
No.
What if I made like little like cozies for it? Like, you know how you can have like a knit cozy for like a cup or like a laptop or something? Could you make a knit cozy for this thing?
No. It would not work out great.
It would just be impractical.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it because it's wet?
No.
Is it wet at all?
No.
Other than like natural moisture?
I don't think so.
Could you chop it up with a knife on a cutting board?
Maybe Zuko's knives.
That's true. Zuko's sort of swords can cut through anything, apparently.
I mean, you could probably do it with a normal knife, to be honest.
Is it easy to draw?
Yeah.
Could I draw it in 5 seconds and you'd be like, that's what it is?
Yep.
Is it integral to a character? Like this is one of the character's sort of signature things?
No.
Can you tie it to a cat's back and it'd be really cute carrying it around? Like Bone Bone's little backpack.
You could do that. Yeah.
Would it be useful?
Maybe to some people.
Glad that I have my blank around me that my cat's already always carrying around just whenever I need it.
Not like that, no.
Is it made of organic material like
I believe
animal or plant products?
I think so, yeah. In fact, I would say 100% chance.
Is it big?
In relation to what?
If you said that's big, would that be incorrect or a correct
It'd be
assumption?
Incorrect.
It's just sort of normal size.
Yeah.
Could I decorate this with like flowers maybe?
You could. I don't know if you could decorate it with, well, you might be able to decorate it with like real flowers, but.
Could I get some like decals on it? Make it look really cool, like some flames?
You could do that.
Does it look intimidating?
No. I mean, maybe it does if. There are some things about it that are intimidating.
Would this get past TSA?
Yes.
Would it fit through the scanner?
Yes.
So it's smaller than a bread box?
It's about maybe the same length-ish.
If you fold it, if you chopped it up and like kind of fold it, you could fit it inside a bread box?
You wouldn't even need to do that, but yeah.
Is it flammable?
Yes.
Is it the ladders?
Nope. How would you fit one of those ladders in a bread box?
You just take it apart.
I just said you wouldn't have to chop it up.
I mean, like they're tied together, so.
Okay. Well, you would not have to disassemble it in any way to fit it in.
So is it stretchy?
Not really, no.
Is it foldable?
Yes.
It is foldable.
Yeah, but you wouldn't do that.
It can be folded, but it shouldn't be folded.
No, it can, but there's...
You can fold it, but it's not the only way to collapse it.
Yeah.
Is it collapsible?
Yes.
Ooh, that's a very specific function of something. Is it collapsible in the same way like a telescope can collapse?
Kind of.
Is it cylindrical and can collapse like...
That was two questions with different answers.
Is it cylindrical?
Sometimes.
Can it collapse like...
No.
So not like a telescope.
Wait. Yeah, I was going to say, like, what does that mean?
Like how a telescope, it
No,
looks like
no,
that,
no.
and then you could squish it and it goes like that.
Not like that, no.
I can't think of any other ways things can collapse.
You can't?
Without folding, is it a neutral color?
Yes.
Gray? Black?
No.
Is it white?
Kind of, yeah.
A light gray?
No.
Is it brownish?
I'd have to take another look at it, but I would say mostly white.
Is this an item with an intended use? Or is it more like decorative kind of knickknack?
It has a use.
Would it be dangerous to use this for its intended purpose while driving or operating heavy machinery?
Yes.
Even if you're a passenger?
No.
Could you use this with your eyes closed and just feeling around?
It wouldn't be possible.
Does it require you to see to use it?
Yes.
Is it a weapon?
No.
Would it be cool if someone's driving a truck in a battlefield and someone's in the back of the truck and they're like standing there and they're using this thing for its intended use in like a sort of Mad Max scenario?
I could see that happening in this world. It wouldn't look badass.
So like in Mad Max Fury Road, you got the guy with the who's on the truck and he's just playing electric guitar, and right next to him there's a guy on the back of a truck and he's doing the intended use of this thing right next to him.
That would have been very funny to see in Mad Max. Yes.
Is this the little horn that Ira's playing?
No.
Is it one of the items that Momo brings Sokka and Katara?
No, I wouldn't be that cruel.
Does this item belong to the Fire Nation?
I would say mostly, yeah.
Because it's part of Zuko and Iroh's sort of deal?
Big no.
Is this directly related to the Archers?
No.
Is this directly related to the Blue Spirit?
No.
Is this something that Zhao has command over?
Yeah.
Is it mainly in the fortress?
No.
Is this in the greenhouse?
No.
It's in the fire fortress.
No.
Is it in the wilderness?
No.
Is it not in a specific setting?
Correct.
It's not in a specific setting.
I mean, it is, but it doesn't have to be.
So it's never in the fire fortress.
As far as I'm aware, I wouldn't think there'd be any reason for it there.
Is this mainly part of Aang's storyline?
I don't even know if he knows it exists.
Okay. Has Aang touched it?
No.
Has Zuko touched it?
Has
anyone touched it?
Yes.
Has
several people.
Have any of the main characters in this episode touched it?
Maybe, but I don't think we saw that happen. There's a question that you haven't really asked. It's kind of important, like a general question that we usually ask.
Can you eat it?
No.
My mind's bouncing all over. I got that Sherlock mind palace thing. Does it make continuous appearances through the episodes, like a motif?
Sort of.
Is it something that's carried around?
Yes.
Is it something that's worn?
No.
Does it have a carrying case?
It might. I don't remember.
Does it only make extremely brief appearances?
Kind of, yeah.
Is there only one?
No.
Is there more than 10?
I think so, probably.
Is it in the ruins?
No.
Would I be wasting my time if I kept asking you where it is?
Not really, because there are some specific places we see it.
Is it in the ship?
We do see it in Zuko's ship.
Is it the monkey statue thing?
No.
Is it a poster? Is it part of a poster of Aang? Is it closely related to the poster of Aang?
Yes, that's not the way I was wording it though.
Is it the drawing of Aang on the poster?
Okay, you got it. I'm gonna give it to you.
Is it the poster?
It's the wanted poster of Aang.
It's the wanted poster of Aang.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought that'd be so simple.
Me too. Thanks for knowing my mental blind spots.
I do have some questions from some kids from 2006 who were fans of the show. Interested?
Nice. Yeah.
All right.
If you want to send in a question,
just
go in a time machine.
We've definitely made this joke already.
Okay.
AvatarSpirit.net user Fire Goddess asks, I just wonder something. How did Zuko learn how to use the broadswords?
That is definitely something I was wondering. Like, he just has this hidden skill this whole time for no reason, really?
Yeah. I, first of all, love it because...
Mm-hmm.
So this was something I was thinking actually watching this. I feel like Zuko would make a better non-bender than a firebender.
Yeah,
he's way better with the swords than he is with firebending.
If they added Zuko to the gang, like Sokka would just seem like he'd be useless.
That's so true.
Because he's better at non-bending than Sokka is, obviously.
But like when you see Zuko firebending, he looks so clumsy and like aggressive.
Yeah.
And like he doesn't have very good control. But then you see him with these swords and he's just like incredibly proficient.
Yeah.
I do actually have an answer for this.
Oh.
It's a little bit of a spoiler because I think it is actually discussed later, but very, very briefly. So later we see Sokka training with someone. I cannot for the life of me remember how his name is pronounced, but the sword master Pyandao? No idea how it's pronounced.
How do you spell it?
Piandao. Zuko learned to fight with these broadswords from when he was a little tiny child.
Oh.
So he's very good and he learned from a master, so it makes sense.
Interesting.
I was also thinking, like, going back to that theory that maybe Ozai is like not his real dad, wouldn't it be interesting if Zuko was never meant to be a bender and like genetically wasn't a firebender, but just kind of learned it by growing up with firebenders?
Maybe.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah. This is another thing that you can do when your parents are rich is that they can sign you up with like a bunch of extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
And like just in case so you can have the most skilled child on the planet.
Oh, another little fun fact. In the Avatar Extras bonus commentary of one of the later episodes, we actually learned that Zuko's dual swords are meant to represent the conflicting good and bad sides of him.
So he has a good sword and an evil sword. They both look the same. Is that a...
I don't know. That's just what it says.
Is it the same thing for like Jet?
That's a good point. Maybe.
Yeah, because he's got
maybe like
he's got a good
subconscious decision on the writer's part.
If you've got two swords, then that means that you're a morally neutral person.
AvatarSpirit.net user Callisto Moon asks, at the end, when Zuko is staring up at the Fire Nation flag and then he turns over, it tells me that he's struggling. Should he do what's best for his country, himself, or the world?
Himself and the world. Sometimes you gotta betray your country.
But isn't there always the argument, though, that like if your country is corrupt and everything is going badly, if you have good in you, you should be the one to start a revolution within your own sort of homeland? Isn't that an argument? That's sort of like why people are, they discourage you from moving when you're in a bad place. It's like, why don't you stay and fight? I think the user was asking, though, like, has Zuko been selfish all the way up to this point? And is he just now realizing maybe he needs to worry more about the world in general? And maybe he is coming to that realization.
Zuko is definitely selfish, but only because he's kind of torn up.
Yeah, well, I think we talked, did we talk about this in the last episode?
Yeah, we kind of did.
Yeah, where he's had it pretty rough up until now. So now he's in treat yourself mentality.
Like, it's hard to be selfless when the world hates you. Sometimes you have to care about yourself, and that's the only thing you have energy for.
Now that's valid. Okay, Google, this is valid. Okay, cool. I did not expect a response. AvatarSpirit.net user Taku asks, who knew the Fire Nation were big music lovers? a tiny hint of possible redemption for the whole Fire Nation? Or are they too far gone down the path to tyranny and madness? Can music save the Fire Nation?
No, because...
Well, has Ozai ever heard a song?
Probably. He probably has like a sort of a...
I'm sure he's like a drum guy.
Fascist governments love music because music is also a tool of propaganda.
I guess, but can you imagine Donald Trump listening to music?
Yes.
You can?
I think he listens to like
I have
the
no
national
idea
anthem.
what it would be. Yeah, that's you're absolutely, you nailed it.
Donald Trump has a single song on his iPod and it's the
Just
national
anthem sung by
himself.
just himself singing the national anthem. I have just a few more things I want to talk about. First of all, in the film prequel manga, Zuko's story, Zuko was robbed by a thief named Hong Shen, who posed as the Red Spirit, taking on a Robin Hood-esque persona. The Red Spirit's mask design and clothing were identical to those that Zuko wore in the show, although Zuko's Blue Spirit persona corresponds to what it was in The Last Airbender. Incidentally, Mike and Brian got the idea of Zuko basing his Blue Spirit persona on a pre-existing figure during a post-season 2 interview.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, I guess I did write this down. The creators dropped the Red Spirit because the initial design made Zuko look like an ancient Korean version of Spider-Man.
I would have kind of liked that.
And it sort of gave away that he was associated with the Fire Nation. If you've only ever seen this episode once, it's much, much better the second time around, knowing that this masked vigilante is Zuko, obviously.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, and like for sure, this is going to be an episode you will want to watch. If you're not watching the show as you listen and you have access to, like you have the ability to watch the episodes in any way, please check this one out. Oh my God, it's so good to watch.
It's a very good cinematic experience.
But when you know that the Blue Spirit is Zuko, it makes a lot of these scenes a lot more fun. Like the scene where Aang is trying to collect his half-frozen frogs in the fortress. I can only imagine what Zuko's thinking. Like, why? Why does Aang have all these frogs?
Yeah.
He's like, I know nothing about my enemy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like later when they're fighting together, it's like very kind of intimate when they're like trying to escape the fort. It's so interesting to see them working. They like work so well together.
Yeah, they have a lot of good chemistry.
It's really good. Oh my God, it's so good. And then also when Zhao says that he's going to send the Blue Spirit to Ozai along with the Avatar, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
It's going to send Zuko. Ooh.
A little embarrassing.
Okay, but here's my question.
Yeah.
Back in front of the gates, if Zhao had refused to let them through the gate, do you think Zuko would have killed Aang? Zhao says, stop attacking. We need to bring the Avatar in alive. And then as soon as he hears that, Zuko puts his swords up to Aang's throat like, oh, well then I'll just kill him if you don't let me through. Do you think he would have killed him?
It depends on what Ozai's specific request to Zuko is, because if Zuko like released Aang back to them in any way, yeah,
he wouldn't have had him anyway. So like, would Zuko have felt? Would he have felt like either I have to kill Aang or Aang is going to end up with Zhao? You know what I mean?
Yeah. What would have if they didn't? If they just if they knew,
if they called the bluff,
if they called his
or if
bluff,
they assumed he was bluffing,
which he was definitely doing.
Are you sure?
I feel like that he would have still tried to need Aang because Aang was like pulling a lot of the weight.
I think
to their escape.
Honestly, I think there may have been a side of Zuko where he could have just been like, because this is like a super dead end. If Zhao had kept the gates closed, his options would have been release Aang and like run off, and then there's no hope of Zuko ever getting the Avatar at that point.
Yeah,
there's just no way. The other option would be to kill Aang.
Yeah,
that's it.
Because he would be captured either way, and he might as well kill the Avatar.
This is what I'm saying. Like,
and be the one who actually killed him.
Yeah,
even though it's not the most honorable way.
No, but like he wouldn't really have had another option.
Yeah. The thing about the Blue Spirit is that they have the same exact personality as a Blue Man from the Blue Man group.
What?
And I feel like that if Zuko had like a Blue Man group mask.
You mean just blue paint?
Yeah. No, they actually do like little latex masks and stuff.
But it's paint. It's like latex paint.
I don't think you have to actually shave yourself bald to be in the Blue Man group.
Are you sure?
We can look this up
later.
I'll get back to you next episode.
Over dinner.
That's our cliffhanger for you. Find out what the Blue Man group does. Yeah, I think the whole thing could have been played out with just being a Blue Man from the Blue Man group doing these whole things.
I suppose.
Because the Blue Man group is bred to kill.
Here's another thing I wanted to bring up.
Yeah?
If Zuko had not gone and done something this wild, like what could he have possibly done in this situation to fix the whole Zhao thing? Because, like I said, he was on the ship sort of like throwing his little temper tantrum because Zhao was clearly taking control of the hunt for the Avatar. There was like no way that he was going to beat Zhao to this situation. So if he hadn't done something like this, do you think there's anything he could have done to like, I don't know.
I would say Zuko might actually try to have bargained with the archers because they don't seem to be... They don't look like that they're Fire Nation, really.
Yeah, they're just
they
kind
seem
of
to have
archers
their
for hire.
They have like their sort of own sort of aesthetic going on. So if they are for hire, then Zuko might have tried to do something about that. Maybe it would have been a stretch, though.
I saw someone actually in the forums discussing like how interesting it would be for Zuko to eventually like disguise himself as an archer because they have like the whole face paint and everything.
True, just like a regular ass disguise.
Yeah. Hey, Noah.
Hey, Summer.
What are your cabbages?
2 potions, a super potion, 15 hyper potions, 106 max potions, 65 revives, 6 lucky eggs, 11 incense, 1 fast TM, 1 charged TM, 7 rare candies, a raid pass, 2 star pieces, 1 gift, 23 pokeballs, 52 gray balls,
Grable?
11 ultra balls, 11 lure modules, 14 raspberries, 23 nan-nab berries, 11 pine nap berries, 5 golden raspberries, 6 silver pine nap raspberries, camera, infinite egg incubator, 1 regular egg incubator, a dragon scale, and a sinnoh stone.
All right. My cabbages are 41 potions, 36 super potions, 40 hyper potions, 34 max potions, 41 revives, 3 incense, a mystery box, 4 rare candies, raid pass, 10 gifts, 47 pokeballs, 15 great balls, 9 ultra balls, 3 lure modules, 38 raspberries, 5 nanab berries, 17 pineapple berries, 8 gold raspberries, 7 silver pineapple berries, a camera. Couldn't do that in one breath. An infinite egg incubator, another incubator, 3 sunstones, 2 metal coats, 2 dragon scales, and a sinnoh stone.
9 sickles and a dung bomb.
I feel like this was quite a word and information heavy episode. A good one to listen to while you play Smash, because it's going to be so hard to pay attention. I do have some plugs. Twitter at Interstellar Princess. Oh shit, I fucked it up right off, right out of the oven. You can find me on Twitter at Stellar Ghost, Tumblr at Interstellar Princess. My art blog, Summer Art on Tumblr, summergeist.art. Please support my various creative endeavors on Patreon if you have a spare $1 or $2. Patreon.com/summergeist. How about you, Noah?
You can find me on Tumblr and Twitter at the username owldude. And you can find my music stuff at noahdoesmusic.tumblr.com as well as noahgeist.bandcamp.com. And most importantly, maybe don't follow me on Tumblr because it might be down. I hope this is just a weird temporary thing. I have way more Tumblr followers than Twitter followers, and I would be starting all over again.
Oh, I forgot to plug my TikTok. Follow me on TikTok at Stellar Ghost. Or don't.
Maybe.
I don't know why I've done this. It was very impulsive.
Be with the times.
We're trying to be cool teens.
With our Fortnite and our TikToks. Keep with it.
Follow My Podcabbages on Twitter at My Podcabbages and rate us on iTunes if you're in the neighborhood. And then, of course, check out noisepace.xyz for all of your podcasting needs. Oh, here's a good one. Here's one I have not listened to yet, but the premise to me is so fucking good. Stuck in the Middle with You and Noisepace, Derek, and Juan of Dim the House Lights watch movies with a 50% Rotten Tomato score, try to figure out which side of the fence they fall on and why.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
Wait, no, we need to sign off. That's it. Does it have to be about cabbage? Can we talk about lettuce this time?
Don't eat romaine lettuce.
Don't eat romaine lettuce. Lettuce leaf?
No!
Cabbage.
Oh, the monster's right there, even though it has canonically big honking footsteps.
This is like how that one episode of Riverdale where the Goblin King just ends up in Betty and Alice's house, and they just like turn around and it's right there. And I'm just like imagining all of the like scraping and like trying to like get in through the window, and its antlers come off, and it's like shit. Like has to put him back on. He's like readjusting his robes. Mm-hmm. They turn around. He's like, "Oh, I've been here the whole time."
Okay, well now our conversion is complete, and we're going to be talking about Riverdale for the rest of our episodes.
We just tricked you into listening to a Riverdale podcast. It only took like 3 months.